What's up, Otakus? It's your tour guide here. It's another Friday, and yeah, hope everybody had a good week. It's been pretty, just kind of trying to get through the week like a normal week. Uh, my family is getting back next Thursday, so enough of the single life, I guess. I realize I do not like single living. I think it was funner. It was more fun when I was younger and a little bit more, I guess, outgoing and social. Not to say I'm not outgoing and social now, but um, it's definitely one of those things where we enjoyed our youth. We were going out a lot, meeting people, and it was just socializing a lot more. And as a married person, just being by yourself, it's a little bit harder um, to just, kind of go out and drink and do all that kind of stuff. It doesn't help that it, costs an arm and a leg to just do anything these days outside of your home. But yeah, it's kind of where we're at with all the, socializing and stuff. But anyway, this video is about it's about kind of covering the week and what we're going to do over the weekend. I do want to kind of go over an update from my last haul video and kind of give some context, uh, like an update, I guess, a pricing update. So my last video was an unboxing video, and I unboxed it here live. In fact, you can go back and watch that. But when we unboxed it, I did want. So we paid $12 for essentially a modern comic book, and as great as that modern comic book is, if it was going to be worth $12, it had to be absolutely a 9.8 candidate. Just a flawless book. And it was a foil variant. So we took out the foil variant and we just noticed like fingerprints or something on there, like a stain of something. It may have been fingerprints, it may have been something else, but it was just this residue at the top of the book. Really unsettling. And yeah, we could have taken a microfiber cloth and cleaned it off and did all that. But the risk of, rubbing it with any kind of cloth, just to wipe that off, it would have scuffed that foil cover. And, again, the book should have never come with anything on the surface to begin with. So I reached out to the guy, and the guy was kind of like, "Look, I was willing to accept the book if he would have just given me half off, right?" But he was like, "No, you know what? Send it back because I can probably clean that off with the cloth." So he was aware that there was something on there. Obviously, when he posted the book, there was no description of that. And then he also neglected to say it was a high grade book. He just put this photo up, and the photo looked great, but the photo is not going to, if you're deliberate about not showing that kind of stain, the photo is not going to really show it as well. So I was really disappointed in the book, and the fact that, like, hey, look, I'm willing to keep it. Just give me the book for $6-7. That's all I wanted. We paid 12 for it. I was like, in this condition, it's not a near mint. If it's not a near mint book, you should, for all the hassle, I'll take the book for 7 or I'll return it to you. And so he's just like, "I'll just return it to me." So I ended up sending it back. So we're gonna get the 12 and change back as a refund, which we're gonna apply to tomorrow. Um, in fact, I am going because I have cash left. I have cash left because I have online purchases. But now that I have 12 of that back, I'm going to extend my budget another 13 or so dollars or $12 uh, so that I have $25 on my haul budget tomorrow. And tomorrow I'm planning to hit Everett Comics because I have not gone to Everett Comics this summer. I was intending to go there with my pal G Lantern Comics. Shout out to G Lantern Comics. But it just we never got around to coordinating time and going there. So, I think G Lantern is kind of busy right now because he's like working and doing things with his family on the weekends. So, um, we just made a couple attempts to go, but it looks like he's hit a cadence where he's just going to be too busy to do things like that. So I've just decided, hey, you know what? As the last, and this is where we're hoping Unmyeong kicks in because, to be honest, with $25 going to Everett Comics isn't necessarily the best thing because Everett Comics doesn't really have like great prices, but what Everett Comics does have is they'll put in like really like key really attractive high grade back issues for really great pricing. So if you can go in, you might be able to find a really, really good deal on a key book or a sought after book. And it tends to be sort of the older books, right? We're talking uh, copper, bronze, and in some cases silver age. So that's what we're hoping to catch, kind of lightning in a bottle in one of the Superman or Action Comics or Superman family related back issue bins. And we're hoping to spend $25. So it may be one book, it may be a series of books, but I do know that their dollar bins are just pretty modern heavy, and they tend to be higher grade modern books. But I don't think we're gonna dig there for sure. For sure, we're gonna dig to see what they have, but I'm not anticipating picking up anything out of those bins. What I am looking forward to is again going through their back issue and finding some gems. And we don't mind spending a little bit more to pick up something we really want to pick up before the end of summer, but it is going to be focused on Superman. So in a lot of ways, it's kind of a one and done at Everett Comics. And unless they absolutely have nothing, if they have nothing, then we're going to end the Summer of Superman at Belkirk Coin and Stamp and pick up some of the half price books there because I know he has some Superman and Lois Lane books there, low grade, but I still would pay those prices to bring those into my collection. So that's the plan. We're going to go to Everett, kind of look, see if it's an Unmyeong haul, and then if there's nothing there, or if there's something there that we pick up and we still have a good amount of change left, we'll finish it off over at Belkirk Coin and Stamp. So that is my Saturday. And then on Sunday, I have just a chillax day with some colleagues. And then my wife and son get back on Thursday of next week. So I'm going to pick him up at the airport, and it'll just be going right back into our, uh, I guess, back to school. And this is actually not back to school. It's actually my son's first year uh, as a kindergartner. He's going into kindergarten. Man, it's just been um, it's time has just flown by. I cannot believe he's already a kindergartner, and it's going to be an exciting year for sure. I think everybody, my son, myself, my wife, we're all just very excited for this school year, and it should be fun for him. It should be fun for our entire family, and again, a big milestone year. Uh, and so, yeah, uh, I'm just returning kind of back to the summer is over, essentially. Um, the summer of Superman is done after this weekend, pretty much. So this is the last haul for the summer of Superman. Again, we're going to end it up in Everett Comics and maybe Bell Kirk Quinn and Stamp, but we're hoping we run into some gems. Now, before I go to Everett Comics, I will also stop by the Half Price Books in Everett Comics and just do a thorough check of the bins, because there's always an opportunity to pick up something really nice. In fact, the last time we did that, we picked up a Wonder Woman book, DC variant cover Wonder Woman book that is absolutely one of my favorites in the collection now. And we picked that up for $3. So hopefully we'll find stuff like that at the Everett Comics, Everett Half Price Books. But for the most part, we're trying to reserve most of our budget for Everett Comics and Superman books. So we'll just see. We're probably going to hit up 3 locations tomorrow. There's an opportunity that I could hit, like, if I've got like $3 left, there's a chance we'll just hit up Mill Geek and hit the 50-cent bins and see what we can find. But all in all, we're gonna spend it all tomorrow. I'm gonna try to, and again, we're going $13 over budget just to have the $25. But I have $12 from my eBay return, and I'm extending the credit to about $12, $13, so that we have 25 to spend on our last haul. And I feel like that's a good amount, because we've been picking up a lot of value. And again, I just have a feeling something good is going to turn out tomorrow when we go. All right. With that being said, I do want to give an update. I picked up 36 books last weekend for $55. And I was doing fuzzy math when I was introducing the books. I was like saying, we picked this one up for $2. We picked this one up for a quarter. We picked this one up for $1. And then I was kind of giving estimates on what we had paid for the big books. But I kind of recalibrated basically all the 25-cent books, all the $1 to $2 books. I took that entire count and said, okay, let's just put those at $1. So we put everything kind of square at $1. And then what we did was we recalibrated what these 3 based on. So we just said, hey, okay, we had 33 books for $1. And that was minus 55. So what is that? We ended up with $22 on 3 books. And so, 20, let's say that's about $7 a book. What we did was so these are like $7 a book, but we just went with 5, and then this one would be 7 plus 4, so 11. So again, we recalibrated what we paid, and it ended up being about no, not 11, sorry, 7 plus 4. So yeah, $11. Um 11 for this book. Nice mid-grade copy there. And again, 5 for this, and 5 for this. And then we put all the other 33 books we showed off in our last haul video at $1. So I feel like that's a better gauge of what we paid. And when we do it like that, we really picked up these darlings here from again, we have a 10-cent cover, a 12-cent cover, and essentially a 25-cent 80-page. And again, Neil Adams, Kurt Swan, goodness here. And this is kind of like, if we can pick up stuff like that, like this, for those prices over at Ever Comics, I will consider the last haul very a success in all intents and purposes. So this is the kind of stuff we're looking for tomorrow. Anything Silver Age that's like decent grade, like this one. This one's, I'd put this one at a solid 5.0 copy, fine copy, potentially fine plus for square bound. But that's kind of what we're looking at. Something in the fine plus range. And again, it can be really any era. There are a bunch of Bronze Age books I'm still wanting to pick up. Anything Neil Adams, if we can find anything Neil Adams, it doesn't have to be Superman per se. But if it's Neil Adams, for example, X-Men, or if it's Neil Adams, something that he did at DC, that's kind of what we're targeting. Also, we'll just do a thorough dig, and if anything Jim Lee turns up, maybe a signed book, because we did find Mark Silvestri signed books there last time. That's the kind of stuff they put in there. They'll put in stuff like signed books and price it really, really aggressively so that it'll move, but you just got to put the work in. So that's what I love about that shop. They kind of make you work and dig for stuff, but if you find it, you get to have the book, right? So being that it's kind of the last weekend in August, I'm thinking they maybe put out new inventory for that weekend crowd. So we're going to try to get there as early as possible and dig, and then yeah, that's how we'll do it. We'll just dig and hopefully just finish it there. But if not, depending on what we pick up, what we find, I'm not going to force anything. It really has to be a situation where, like, yes, I need this, and that happens nine times out of 10, right? 9 times out of 10, I'll just like find something that I'm just like, okay, because we left a lot of we've had to leave a lot of stuff. There's still stuff at Jeff's that, to be honest, I should pick up. I should just go there tomorrow and pick it up. But we wanted to be kind of comprehensive in terms of our coverage, because we know what's at each shop and we've left it there. But I kind of want to just check out Ever Comics, because we haven't been there this summer. And that's kind of going to be I think, the way we're going to end it. Just, I don't want to end up like having to go back down to, all the way down to Burien just to pick up books. We're really trying to end our weekend tomorrow. So, but again, in the event, there's nothing there, like no Superman, no nothing. I'm not going to force, I'm not going to just try to like pick something up for the sake of picking it up. We do have options to hit other shops, and if we don't find anything there, which I think, again, Belkirk Coin and Stamp will be able to spend $25 there. Even if it's on one book, he's got a great Silver Age collection there. In fact, there is one key book there. It's in rough shape, but I think he has it priced pretty fairly. So if worst comes to worst, we're gonna pick that book up. In fact, I may just go pick that book up. But I'm just so curious as to what Everett Comics has. So that's the thing. If nothing at Everett Comics is worth picking up over that one book, that can be our sort of like backup book for $25. Um, we will just leave empty-handed at Everett and go pick up the book at Belkirk. But something tells me we're going to probably run into something worth picking up at Everett. And so I'll jump back on tomorrow night after I bring those books back, and we will cover what that is. All right. Well, there's not much for me to cover and talk about today. I think Peacemaker Season 2 is now out on digital streaming. So people are kind of watching the episodes and giving their thoughts online. And, there's a lot happening in that pocket universe realm with the multiverse. And what you got to remember about the multiverse is even though Marvel has their fingerprints all over the MCU and multiversal kind of leanings, I guess, they're kind of knee deep in, I think it started with the Miles Morales movie, right? The incursions or whatever, the fact that these like universes are sort of colliding and meeting, and it's creating these like, breaks in the space-time fabric. Oh, I don't know how they're explaining it, but it's basically causing issues right through, and it's causing all the branches of timelines to kind of unravel, and whole universes are falling. That whole storyline is like Crisis on Infinite Earths. It's literally Marvel took the concept that DC had built for multiverse, and they brought it to the cinematic universe, and they now, I guess, own multiversal. Like, they started that whole thing. It's turned into a jumbled mess, but they're working toward a resolution in Avengers Doomsday with the multiversal, that crisis coming to the fore, and just a handful of heroes having to recalibrate. And hey, what's up, fanboy? Thanks for joining, man. Hope you had a good weekend, and hope you're doing well physically. I know you've been dealing with some issues there, but yeah. That whole MCU thing, I'm not all that excited about it. But here we have DCU. DCU is not shying away from that either. They're essentially introducing that, and I'm at odds with that, because I would rather have had DC stay away from multiverse and crisis type storylines. But that's such part of the DC DNA code. And again, Marvel ripped it off with what they're doing now. It just, part of me is like against it, but a part of me is like, yeah, if we're building towards something, it makes sense that you'd like want to do a crisis event sooner rather than later, because that really is DC's DNA. It really is a big part of the various eras of the DC comic book continuity. And there's no continuity there, because they keep busting it up with these crisis events. So you just end up having like, oh, okay, this is a new, it's like, this was all sort of canon, and then boom, this crisis event happens, and then you get a new uh, altered reality or universe, or fallout from an event, and it creates just a whole new set of circumstances where you can really world build and universe build and bring in characters and give them kind of new story arcs and all that. So it is, again, it's in DC's wheelhouse to do that because of the comics, but now they're kind of making it and introducing it early on through Peacemaker. And I have yet to kind of watch and enjoy Peacemaker, so I don't know. I can't really speak to too much of it, but I do hope it's successful. I do hope that fans aren't turned off or confused by what's going on. Hopefully, most people are on board with what Gunn is doing in Peacemaker season 2, and hopefully, it really sets up some of the content that's poised to launch in 2026. There's a lot of stuff coming in 2026. We got Clayface, we got Supergirl movie, we've got the Green Lantern television series, and I believe we have Brave and the Bold as well. Something else is there. I think it's no, maybe it's Creature. I don't know. It's one of I think it's an animated series or something. But we have again, Clayface is a horror movie. We have Supergirl the movie. We have the Lantern show, and I believe we're getting some kind of animated, maybe Creature Commandos or something along those lines. But yeah, again, got a full docket of stuff coming down the road. Keep your kids away from the TV. Yeah, we are trying to. We don't have a TV, so that's not hard. He does have a little iPad thing that he is addicted to, so it's hard to keep him off that. But it's we put educational stuff on there, so he's like doing little activities that teach him stuff. So it's not all that bad. But yeah, like we're getting to a point where okay, we're probably going to get a TV soon. And we're also getting to the point where, like, I promised him, I want him to enjoy video games, because I think as long as we can put rules around how he has to like do his chores, and he has to get all his schoolwork done. If we can agree on having all that taken care of, all the homework taken care of, then weekends can be time for him to play with games, as long as he's not on it the entire weekend, or even like like Friday nights or something. But we're not going to make this a nightly thing where he's just playing games all the time, but putting rules around, okay, you do everything you have to do, and then maybe we'll give you 3-4 hours of time on the weekend to play. So something around like that. Oh, you watched Peacemaker? Is pretty bad, huh? I don't know. From the trailer, and again, I can't tell. It was just one of those things. Like they just kind of like made it really fun, and like John Cena has really good comedic timing. So I just figured it would be a show if they're just trying to. If they're just trying to do something with humor and something mildly entertaining, I could see people liking it, myself included. But I'm assuming, fanboy, there was something there that story related that is making you not like it. That was my concern with it, is like that it's going the multiversal route that's going to confuse a lot of people, and also it's going to maybe lean too heavily on just the goofier, dumb characters, right? Oh, I see. Okay, I thought, yeah, my son's not watching Peacemaker. I hear it's very adult. Did you like Peacemaker? I guess that's where I was going. Okay, yeah. No, the episode was fine story wise. Okay, so you do like it, and um, so far, no judgment yet, right? Because we only got episode one, but you're saying like so far it's so good. Sounds like what you're saying. Yeah, again, I saw the trailer. I didn't see anything that a lot of people were excited about it. It definitely, I think, is winning over a lot of like people who enjoy that kind of like more adult oriented comic book content. Like the people who like the Deadpool stuff and whatnot. Hey, what's up, Tyler? Yeah, I've been constantly paused to to make sure Ollie is okay. Yeah, it's one of those shows, huh? It's got the nudity and the language and all that, the violence. Gotcha. Um, yeah, I think that's a good thing for. Again, we got something that was very in Superman that was very family oriented. PG for the most part. A family film kids could get into, but yeah, the definitely the DCU is uh, it's it's trying to capture a broad swath of fans, right? So you got stuff for the family and the kids, and you definitely got stuff down the road for the adults, the the younger people who go to cons and they love comic books, they love reading, they love watching movies and things like that. So I think you got a little bit of everything, something for everybody. And Yeah, I think Peacemaker is really different from the tone of Superman. Like I said, it's I think Gunn is best at writing sort of the raunchier, wittier, comedic type dialogues. Um, and This story, again, Peacemaker, from everything I've seen, looks really funny. I think John Cena is again he's underrated for the kind of actor he is. So I'm glad he's um, headlining a major television series. If this if Peacemaker just becomes this like cult classic, I mean, you literally could have 5 to 7 seasons of Peacemaker as a standalone and not have it really interact much with the other DCU content. But at the same time, it looks like what they're building is toward this like, okay, we've introduced this series, we've introduced this series, we've introduced this character in this series, this animated series, and then you could just all, bring it together in some kind of film format, and it's just like the crossover big events that DC is just so well known for. So, what Gunn is doing and how they're doing it, I'm all for, because what you're doing is you're just world building, and then boom, you have like a crisis event or some major event that brings all the side stories together, um, and have your end game moment. Um, we really haven't had too many of these kinds of things happen in cinema. Endgame was really the where we saw it for the first time, and it was really well done. It took years to get to that point, but again, it when it happened, it created just this really bought in fan base, and the payoff was huge. So again, I think Gunn is smart to follow that model, but again, that model is something DC against DC, part of DC's DNA. So it's been done in the comic books, and if I think if you just kind of follow that model, uh, what's there, what's existed, and you just make sure it sits well with comic book fans and all the audiences watching, just that it you know you create again the branding around that world building. So as long as you say, hey, it's DCU stuff, and you have people maybe leaning on one series or one character over another, but when it all comes together, it's like, yeah, you don't want to miss it, right? You want to just be a part of that whole thing. So good ecosystem that they're building, and I'm glad they're really pitting two different audiences, right? They're pitting sort of a mass market cinema audience that now is kind of like, okay, let's see what happens next. And now you're crossing that audience over into the streaming. I stay at home, I stream like a gajillion episodes, and you really, 12 episodes of Peacemaker season two is like, it's like, it's like a cornflake in terms of what you eat for breakfast. So they're just hungry for more, hopefully. And it seems like a lot of people are going back and watching season one, because season one, as popular as it was, did not have a big audience. But season two is definitely like, you've got a lot of people coming in saying, like, hey, what happened last season? And they're binging that. And then now they're ready for season two. So, yeah, definitely the momentum is there. Part of the Summer of Superman effect. But moving forward, I think it's just going to continue to compound and grow. And what we're going to have at the end of this, we've yet to see, but we can imagine, right? We're all imagining things, and I put in some of my theories for what they may do. Um, I think I put out my Superboy Prime theory. It's going to be, again, you're going to have some kind of on-screen villain versus superhero event, and you're going to have the top dogs on the good side, like Superman versus his uh, alter. It's going to be like good Superman versus evil Superman. So there's a lot of ways that can go, but I don't think it's going to be Brainiac or Luther. I think Brainiac and Luther are going to be there as a part of the villains rogue versus the heroes gallery, right? It's gonna be like this, like mano a mano kind of thing. But I think who's ultimately pitted against Superman is somebody that can actually take him out, and that's going to be himself, right? It's going to be an evil version of himself, and I think that's, um, we'll get some version of that. So again, uh, think Homelander versus Superman, right? Everybody wants to kind of see that, and I'm thinking Earth Two, or sorry, Superboy Prime is a prime candidate for that, because you got a younger, you got maybe a younger, quicker, like sharper, evil Superman, um, versus our current version. And the other thing I would really want to see. What's up, Tyler? I'm sure you probably saw how they changed season. Yeah, I saw that. And I understand why they would do that, because it's linked to the story, right? It's linked to what's going on in the Pocket universe, and the fact that these worlds, there's parallel worlds, and you're just getting two different, two alternative versions of kind of like a fork in the road, right? You have a fork where it's this Justice League, and then you got another fork in the road where it's the Guns Justice League. And I think it makes sense as long as they do it in a way that like fans will be like, oh, okay, I see what's going on, and not in a confusing way. I mean, you could ultimately know what's going on, right? It's like Guns like saying, hey, the fork splits here, and I'm taking you on down this road, and we're just going to assume whatever happens there, and we're not going to delve into it. So I think it, again, makes sense. They don't have to blow up everything from season one. They're just taking season one's outcome and creating sort of a nexus point for it moving forward. So um yeah, so going back to what else I'd like to see alongside Superboy Prime, I'm really hoping that they what am I really hoping for? I was gonna say something um related to the Superman villains. Um it was on the tip of my tongue, and now it's just like it just out of mind. I'm sure it'll come to me. I'm just kind of I'm going to start talking out loud and thinking or wrapping my brain around what I wanted to see. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of possibilities out there for what we could see. And again, I think Superboy Prime is one of the things. Oh yeah, okay. I just thought of what I want to see. Um, I want to see, and this is where I think we as a comic book community can really push for this, because I think there's a little bit of momentum there already, uh, and I think Gunn is, there's just whisperings of like Tom Welling, Smallville, Michael Rosenbaum, like there's whisperings of that. You had Michael Rosenbaum in the DCU Superman project. He played he was just voicing some unrelated character. But, you know, Tom Welling, I was just mentioning Tom Welling recently he's been on like podcasts and stuff. And the dude what had put on a lot of weight. He's a dad now, he's got a lot of gray in his hair. He's an old guy. He's like in his 40s now, right? So um it's a situation where when he started off as playing Clark, he was Clark Kent, high school kid, growing up in Smallville. It wasn't even Superboy. He was just this kid, just hiding his identity and just trying to do as many good things at the end of the day, and keeping his friends in the dark and his people around him in the dark, except his true like parents and some of the lucky people he shares a secret with, like Pete Ross. Um, but yeah, I mean, it kind of ends with him getting married, him starting his life in Metropolis as a reporter, and or it kind of the final seasons are like around the Metropolis. He's like moved to Metropolis. He's graduated university, starting his professional life, and it's leading toward, all right, I'm slowly starting to become Superman. And then Smallville ends with like him running with the suit under his, his actual like business suit, and he opens up the shirt and boom, it ends right there. It just ends with the S reveal and him running off to save the day. And that's a great ending for Smallville. No complaints about that. But the complaint I have is like, man, we never got to see a Welling Superman doing all the stuff the 9-10 years of that show had built toward. So it never really truly gave fans. I mean, you had Clark saving people, um, and he did kind of don this sort of all black kind of costume. I think he had a name. It wasn't Superman. It was like like Black Flash or something like that, like Black Lightning, something like that. It was a like a name that the press had given him, and it was just basically him in a trench coat, all black, no signs of the Superman suit. But yeah, we never really got to see the cape, the suit, and Tom Welling doing all the amazing things that Superman would do. Yeah, it was the blur, right? The blur. That's what it was. Um, and we just never got it. We got like hints of it. We kind of it got teased a lot. Um, and again, that show ran for a really long time, and they had every opportunity to at least give us a season of Welling flying around as Superman, but they never gave us that. And we didn't even get like a standalone movie. I thought they might like transition ending the show and then just getting like a 2 hour made for TV movie or something. Not even that, right? We just got a bunch of like we got like the Arrow, we got the Flash series. We just got a bunch of WB spin-offs, including Supergirl. I like season one of Supergirl was really entertaining. I gotta say that was like a great show, even though I'm not into like the rom-com, like kind of teenage drama stuff. Um, I did like Smallville, and I gotta say I like the way they set up Kara and that whole Supergirl thing as well. Because I'm just a Superman. I'm a fan of Superman. So anytime you're gonna give me stuff like that, I'm all in it. I'm all about it. But anyway, getting back to what I would love to see is Welling's been working out. Welling's been working out. He's lost a lot of weight, and he looks pretty buff right now. Go and watch his most recent like podcast videos. Hey, what's up, brother? So you know, he's been working out. He's been, I think, what he's trying to do, and I'm talking about Tom Welling. I think what Tom Welling is trying to do is he's trying to like say, "Hey, I'm here. I played Superman. If you ever need to cast an older Superman," and this is what plays into again Earth 2 Superman with the side, the grade sideburns, the older statesman hero, right? The one that uh, is part of the whole JSA golden age era of uh, the Superman comics, right? So that's another Earth, parallel Earth. It's another Earth. It's the one very closely related to Earth 1, right? You got Earth 1, Earth 2. And in that Earth, you have, again, uh, we only got the recent marriage between Clark and Lois and all that. But in the Earth 2, Clark and Lois get hitched much earlier, even though it doesn't last. There's a lot of things related to those Earth 2, like what if type storylines that are there, and it's its own kind of continuity. But how awesome would that be if they brought in a younger Superboy Prime, really kind of like on a maybe one-on-one level, right? Superboy Prime might have the advantage, right? But then you bring in the Welling Superman along with the Corin Sweat Superman, teaming up to deal with whatever dark forces. Maybe it's a Bizarro, maybe it's a Superboy Prime, maybe it's Ultraman, all three of them, Ultraman, Bizarro, Superboy Prime, everybody, but Brainiac, Lex, bring it all on. You got the two elder statesmen and the current Corin Sweat Superman, just boom, right on. And what you'd get is the old school Reeve costume next to the modern costume. You have the classic Superman S symbol, the one that's been just part of the comic book history, and then alongside the modern version. How awesome would that be? And how big of a payoff would that be if Welling got cast in that role? And then you brought back elder statesman Lex Luthor, and you brought back Lana Lang, Kristen Crook, and you brought, and you have Lois there. She looks great, by the way. Who's the actress that played Lois? I forget her name. The chat's going to remind me, but Um, we won't have Allison Mack, but we'll have the entire other Smallville cast coming back and reprising their roles in that Earth 2. And I forget what the Smallville dog's name was, but maybe he'll come back and he'll just be the regular dog next to the super crypto dog. Whatever, however they do this, I hope they do it. I hope they at on some level do it, because it would just be like one of those full circle moments. I think I'm not saying we bring everybody back. I'm not saying we bring Zach. I'm not saying we bring Henry Cavill and Brandon Routh and Dean Cain and all these other like Supermans. I'm just saying we bring the Welling Superman back as part of that, good versus evil payoff moment. And it doesn't have to be, it just can be just like, boom, like, okay, he just shows up, he just flies in, and behind him are just like his universes. And it's the old school, like DC, Saturday morning cartoon lineup, just like old school, blue and gray Batman suit. You got like Aquaman, like, looking clean shaven, and you got Wonder Woman in her stars and stripe panties and the bustier. It's just like, just give us that, and I think that's what they should do. I feel very passionately and strongly about it, and I will continue to advocate and remind fans to continue to put out that, yes, Teen Titans is coming, and what version of that team, what we'll get is up in the air. But all indications are you're going to have Nightwing, right? You got to have Nightwing. You got to have Cyborg. Um, and from that point, and I don't know. I think for me, it's the old school team. You got to have Starfire. You got to have Wonder Girl. You got to have is it Kid Flash? Yeah, I think it's Kid Flash. Um, and then eventually Aqualad, I think. No, Aqualad was the original, from the original Teen Titans. But anyway, some form of like old and new. We'll see what the team looks like. I think we're too far gone into the new. Like Teen Titans has just taken on so many iterations. I think to satisfy everybody, it's got to be a mix of old and new. Um, but yeah, for certain it will be Nightwing, and for certain it will be at least one or two members from the 80s run, hopefully, right? But yeah, just going back to my main point, give us Tom Welling as Superman, like bring him back as like an alternate. It's kind of like the Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield Spider-Man moment, right? You're just bringing back cameos, and you're bringing us the Welling Superman, who we never got to see. All right, we never got our Welling never got his moment in this, and I think he talked about this on a recent interview or something. They asked him like, were you ever disappointed you never got to don the suit except in that one final moment? Um, you know, do you regret not having played the character into the Superman? And he was saying like, no, because by the time that show had reached the end, he was ready to be done with the series. He was just kind of like, it was just like had gone on long enough. I'd played the character, most of his like, adult life up to that point, right? So he was ready for it to be done and for him to move on, and he wasn't wanting to play Superman and do any of kind of that stuff. It had brought him a lot of fame and fortune, and I think he just took a step back from acting and doing what, just kind of like, hey, you know what, I'm set. I don't have to do this anymore. I'm just going to focus on me. Again, he got married. He had his kid. He's now just like a family guy, kind of not really acting and doing all that much. I think it's hard for somebody like him to actually do it because when it's kind of like Christopher Reeve, when once you get typecast as Superman, you really can't do anything else. It's kind of like the same thing that happened to Mark Hamill, right? Once you get like cast as like Luke Skywalker, you just can't go be in a bunch of other movies and break out of that mold. It's kind of like you're typecast, and that's really where you have to kind of make your bread and butter at the end of the day. And so it happened to Christopher Reed, it happened to Welling, it happened to a gajillion other sort of well-known actors. Um, you know, it's really you're fortunate if you can play roles, multiple roles based off a very popular series, like series or franchise. Obviously Arnold was able to do it. There have been actors that have done it, but um, it really is a difficult thing to um, break out of the franchise mold and then have a series of successful subsequent projects just purely based off of your popularity. So you're just branching out from that previous role, kind of rolling your popularity and momentum into another role. But that again, I think Anakin, Hayden Christensen tried that, and then he had a series of bombs outside of his role as Anakin, and that I think kind of derailed his career a little bit. At least it gave him pause. And it's happened to a lot of people. So it's just kind of one of those things. If you're young and your first role is just such a memorable character, and the industry wants you to stay in that role and that character, and they don't really want to see you succeed in other roles because the role that you are having success with is bringing in the most revenue and money. So it's like, hey, uh, we don't need you to be like Luke Skywalker and Superman. We just want you to be Luke Skywalker, right? It's just kind of one of those deals, and it just is an unfortunate part of the industry. Um, but yeah, I hope David Cornsweet gets the opportunity to do more than just play Superman. But right now, I mean, he's Superman. He's not doing anything else other than Superman. And the studio does not, or basically, I don't think there's any studio that wants him to doing more than what he's doing. Right? You just want him to focus on this multi-million dollar franchise right now. Actually, it just crossed 600 million. So he puts out another Superman movie, and it does the equivalent of what this one did. That's $1 billion franchise right there in two movies. So it's already $1 billion franchise when you think of the licensing and all the revenue it's bringing in outside of the movies. So yeah, Corn Sweat stuck with that moniker for the next foreseeable future, unfortunately. But we love that he's in that position, right? I wouldn't have it any other way. All right, well, enough blathering and ranting. I'm just going to review. I'm going to comic book shop tomorrow. We're hitting up Everett Comics. This will be the final Summer of Superman haul for 2025. So tune in tomorrow night, see what we pick up. But we're taking $25 to Everett Comics. And if we have anything left over, we'll hit up a few more comic book shops. In fact, if I don't spend anything or don't find anything at Everett Comics, there is a book waiting for me at Belker Coin and Stamp. That's a Superman book, Silver Age Superman book. So either way, we'll have something to show off tomorrow. So just kind of tune in tomorrow night and see what that is. But thanks for joining. Yeah, Tyler, William, Fanboy, all you guys, thank you for coming on. Just giving a shout out, and we will connect hopefully tomorrow, but I'm sure I'll see you down the road, maybe next week's Otaku Weekly. We're just here. We're just getting caught up. Uh, Thank you, brother. Uh, we're just getting caught up. I love sharing my collection, my thoughts on the hobby, on these characters we love, and what a great time to be a Superman fan and a DC fan right now. So I know most of the people who watch my content, you guys are uh, fellow brethren in DC, but we're more importantly, we're fellow brethren in this hobby of comic books. My fellow sisters too. I don't want to leave my sisters out there, but all of you are important members of our community. We all share this passion for this medium of comic books and comic book related content. That includes this YouTube community of people talking about comic books, people talking about movies, comic book movies, and things related to pop culture, so toys and all that. I mean, I'm not too big into the toys and all that other stuff, but I love me some a good conversation around pop culture stuff. So Transformers, GI Joes, all that kind of stuff, I love. But first and foremost, the man Superman up there, he is, he'll always be number one. So it's the summer of Superman. I had an incredible time this summer with everything that's happened, and it's just going to get bigger and better as we move forward into 2026 and beyond. So, uh, yeah, I'm just happy to have you guys here each week, connecting with me, and let's just enjoy the ride. We've gotten to this point. It took a long time to get to the movie, but it's finally here. It's a success, and we just going to continue to see where this ride takes us, and hopefully pick up a lot of cool Superman related books as we continue. So, peace out, guys. Thanks for joining. We'll see you in the next one.